Hello guys, and welcome to Spa Project Cars Career Mode Season 3, Race 11 of the season coming right up. And we have been plagued by some inconsistency here during the last couple of races here. We finished 4th or 3rd, I can't quite remember, 4th or 3rd at Imola last week here. That was a pretty good result, everything else considered. But before that, we finished out of the points at Nürburgring, and before that, I think we got a win somewhere else. I can't really remember these days, but we'll be looking to take the podium here at Spa at the very least. We've had lots of success here in the past, did very well in Formula B. Didn't do all that well last year, but we did manage to scrape into the points there, and hopefully we're going to be able to take the win here today, or at the very least finish 2nd or 3rd. Jumping straight into the fray here, coming through a Rouge up the hill here, and as we're going to be coming out on Kemmel Straight, I fear that we might have our gear ratio set up a little bit too low for the 7th gear, because we're just about able to push 318, 317 here, and I'm starting to wonder whether or not we should have done this a little bit differently, but too late for that now. We managed to set the fastest Sector 1 time so far, so can't be all bad if you look at the times there. And currently, I'm not really sure how many have been out on track yet, but fastest Sector 1 time, can't really ask for that much more at this point. Coming downhill here into turn 12. Routinely, Sector 2 is usually a very fast sector for us, particularly coming through turns 13, 14, and 15. Robert Schmidt currently on a provisional pole there with the fastest lap so far. And running a little wide here, coming out through turn 14. That's not going to be all that great here. See if we can't hit the apex coming through 15. We missed that one too. And coming out on the back straight here. Hopefully we're going to be able to put in a time good enough to start amongst the first 5 on the grid. If not pole, then at the very least top 5. Coming into bust up, hard on the brakes here, downshifting heavily, just touching either curb, getting a nice exit from the bust up chicane here, out on the, well, what is usually the finishing straight here, but apparently not in Formula A. Coming through the hairpin here, which is usually turn 1 if you look at the track layout. Coming down the hill, this is where the finish line is going to be for us today. And by the looks of it here, this is going to be a very competitive time, 1:49 something, and that is a provisional P3 right now, right behind Mr. Consistency himself there, Paul Chapman, who is currently in P2. And just as I say that, we get bumped to P4. Paul Chapman also getting bumped, so apparently somebody just set the best or the second best time there. And looking at the starting grid here for tomorrow's race, we did not manage to make our goal of finishing in the top 5. We get bumped by not Robert Schmidt. He was on pole for quite a while there. Tom Cornwell and Heinz-Dieter Kramer and Phil Guthrie as well, bumping us down to P6 here. So that is a bit of a setback, but by no means is this like starting 9th or 12th on the grid. P6 for tomorrow's race, that's pretty good. So here we are, guys, getting ready to get out of the gate. No rain expected for this one, at least according to the weather forecast here. So hopefully it's going to remain dry throughout the race here.
Green, green, green.
3 red lights, 1 green, getting a pretty good start here. Phil Guthrie on our right shoulder. Somebody running off track there. We had a yellow flag momentarily there. Oh, Ian Bell going down the inside of us there, coming through a Rouge. We immediately return the favor as we have the better line coming out of the turn here. And Phil Guthrie trying to make a move on Heinz-Dieter Kramer coming down the Kemmel Straight here. That pretty much takes away our line, as we would have tried and gone down the inside of somebody down into turn 7 there. And Phil Guthrie has to back out of that one too, as he remains in P5. And all it does for us is kind of put us in a spot where we had to brake early for turn 7, and right now we have Ian Bell right behind us there, being overtaken by Torben Simon coming through Brussels here. He has a move on us, trying to go down the outside. Ian Bell has the better exit here, coming out of the turn, going down the inside of us there into turn 12. We run very wide indeed here. Jadron Dimich also going down the inside of us as we are way down into P8 here on lap 1, and that is not looking good so far, I gotta say. So definitely not the start we would have hoped for here. Oh, whoa, somebody just ran off track there in the mirrors and saw lots of dust going on, and 3 or 4 cars, I think, going off track as well. And by the looks of it here, we're okay, so there you go. We're down to P9 now. That means that somebody is out of the race, because how it works here in Project Cars is that they get placed into the pits there, and currently the car that's retired is set as leading the race. Obviously, that is not the case. There you go. You can see the pit on the mini-map here coming through the bus stop chicane as we come out on the straight here, and somebody's out of the race, obviously. But anyway, status quo remains here. We lose a couple of positions on lap 1 here as we are down into P8, 2 positions to be exact. We just bumped from behind there by Daniel Hooper here coming through turn 1, or final turn, whatever you want to call it. We immediately return a favor here coming downhill. I'm thinking we're running a setup with slightly less downforce here just to take advantage of the long straights. Lap 3, one more time, coming into the bus stop chicane. As you can see, we are down into P9, and if you look at the pits there, someone else has retired from the race. We should be moving back up into P8 here as we pass the pit lane, and yes, that is indeed the case. And coming through turn 1, or the final turn, whatever you want to call it here, we are still about 2.5 seconds behind the P7 car, who is now Greg Barbier. And it's not like we're losing contact with the front runners, but we're not catching them either. Jumping ahead to lap 9 here, several cars have already been in to make their first pit stop, and I guess the time is as good as any. We're going to be going in on the very next lap, but currently we are in a provisional P2 here, trying to chase down Greg Barbier coming out on the Kemmel straight here. We're taking advantage of the slipstream, going down the inside here, heading into P7, turn 7, making the move stick, and we are currently in a provisional P1 here on lap 9 of the race. Very nice. Very next lap here, coming into the pits like I was talking about. This is going to be our first stop. We expect to be making 2 stops here today, as I expect the AI are going to be doing the same. And I'm not sure what's up with the pit crew here, but once again, they seem to be costing us. Greg Barbier jumping us in the pits. Same thing happened in Imola. I'm not really sure who jumped us there. I believe it was Torben Simon. But again, it appears to be costing us a spot here as we are back into P8, which is basically where we were before the first batch of cars went in to make their stop. And Greg Barbier pulling away dramatically coming out of the pit lane. I'm a little apprehensive of getting on the throttle too soon there. Might lose the back end and head into the wall. And also, I got Danny Gilo right behind me there, just about 0.3 of a second here, so we don't really have time to goof up right now. And hopefully we're going to be able to close the gap on Greg Barbier within the next couple of laps and put a move on him yet again. It's getting a little too much of the curb here, coming through turn 8 into turn 9, running a little wide once again here. Apparently the tire is still pretty cold. And heading into Brussels here, running very wide indeed. Not only the tires appear to be cold, but the brakes as well. Danny Gilo going down the inside of us, and we now have our teammate Daniel Waltz breathing down our necks. We're down into P9 now. This is not exactly the way we wanted our race to go here. All right, still plenty of racing left to do, but this is not what we had envisioned after our first pit stop. Coming into turn 13 here, Daniel Walls doing a Project Car special here, trying to go down the inside of us here. We return the favor coming through turn 14, sticking to our line here into 15. One more time, Daniel Walls pushing us a little bit wide there, going down the inside. This is not the way to treat a teammate there, Daniel. I'll be sure to return the favor pretty soon if I get the chance. And right now, we are down into P10, being pressured from behind by Hassan Aslan here. Coming into the boss stop chicane one more time here. Hard on the brakes, but the brakes again appear to be very, very cool indeed. We end up trying to cut the corner there, get a little bit too much of the curb there, run wide. As a result, our Torp and Simon coming through the turn just barges into us, and we have no choice but to sit by the wayside here, wait for everyone to pass so that we can rejoin the race safely here. This is just not going our way today. As we have cars coming by in numbers here on the main straight, we're now down to P13, being overtaken by Hassan Aslan, now Andrea Cosentino, meaning status quo remains and no change in positioning before the second pit stop here. Again, not exactly what we had hoped for, but we still have some racing left to do. Jumping ahead to lap 22 here, final lap of the race. We're now up into P14, but this is not due to our racing. We've had 2 more cars retiring from the race, and obviously that ups us a couple of spots. And trying to chase down Andrea Cosentino, that is not going to happen here today. Most likely we're going to be finishing in P14. And after that qualifying session and the early goings in the race, well, after the qualifying session, really, I gotta say, because we did not fare well in terms of race pace on the opening couple of laps. We made a few mistakes, obviously. That ended up costing us, and the fact that we do not score any points here today is entirely our own fault. So hopefully our closest competitors didn't fare all that well today either. Looking at the standings here, Daniel Hooper taking a win here today. Tom Cornwell in second. Phil Guthrie finishing third. Heinz-Dieter Kramer in fourth. And Paul Chapman, as always, pretty consistent again, finishing in P5 there. He's the only real threat to us right now, scoring 10 points here. Obviously, we're not getting any today. Looking at the lap times here, I thought we had the pace, but we were just way too inconsistent lap to lap there, and I gotta say it's completely deserved that we did not score any points here today. And Robert Schmidt, I'm not really sure what happened to him. He could have been one of the cars that didn't finish the race there. He started on pole, but I didn't see him anywhere in the top 10, but then again, I wasn't looking for him either. And championship standings here, we are still leading that category, 155 points. Greg Barbier in second, 82 points. Man of consistency, Paul Chapman in third with 79 points. And obviously that is still a very nice gap, but we really need to start scoring some points on a consistent basis here if we are to re-win the championship this year. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to leave a like or subscribe to this channel for more Project Cars action, and I'll be back soon enough. Bye-bye.